I actually suggested that since we were already in a group form, we should take it forward and try to go and meet readers, because I feel there's a big disconnect between the readers and the writers of the hills. I consider myself not as an author, but as a journalist and a political analyst or whatever you call that. So it was easier for me because whatever I wrote, I got instant feedback the next day. But they are authors, and then later on I became author by default too. So I thought it was a good way whereby we could understand the readers and then maybe polish our work further. And then we decided to actually have these small gatherings in all across the region, maybe in Gangtok, Darjeeling, Kalimpong, everywhere. And then this is the first one, and it's such an honor for us in Kalimpong to be holding this. I welcome all the authors, all those who've come to actually attend this program. I would especially like to thank Dr. Harkabadur, sir, for agreeing to actually give the keynote address today too. And so nice to see Prof. Rao and Dr. Dakpa and the teachers, Anukampa ma'am, everyone. Thank you for being here and welcome. So let us start this program. We've kept this format very simple. What we want to do is call all the authors before you. They will speak, give a talk of say about 10 minutes each, during which they will try to share their experience, their creative journey, and then maybe talk about the books. So this is basically just an interaction. After that, maybe you can ask us questions, the authors, about their work, about the experience, and then we have a talk with Dr. Arka here. And basically after that, book signing, then if you want to meet the authors, that's it. So this is a very simple format. So to start this program, may I call the authors onto the stage. May I call Priti Brahman ma'am to the stage, please. EUNICE NIRJA, please. PANKAJ GIRI, Kisan Dahal, Vikash Goyal, ASWINI, TAMANG. Please give them a very applause. Can I ask my younger brother Dheeraj to please garland the guests on behalf of everyone. Please take your seats. So this is basically the condition of English writers in Kalimpong or the hills. We are the authors, we are the editors, we are the copywriters, we are the publishers, we are the sellers. Like we did today, even we actually garlanded each other. So anyway, so let's not delay with the program because our guests have come from Sikkim and Darjeeling and they have to go back to. So may I call upon Mrs. Priti Brahman to please come and say a few words, say about 10 minutes, ma'am, just about sharing your experience as a live, your writing and your experience as an English writer. So let me just introduce her a little bit. Priti Brahman, of course, is from Darjeeling actually. She's now based in Siliguri. She's a teacher in charge of a school in Khoribari, ma'am? Khoribari. And she is the granddaughter of one of the tallest personalities actually from the hills, the late Ratan Lal Brahman. And she's written a book some time back, which is, being really well accepted by the readers and critics all across the hills and elsewhere. She's been writing for various journals. She's written poetries, I think. So may I please welcome her here and deliver her talk.
Good afternoon, friends. Well, I am not actually prepared to deliver a formatted speech or anything. I'm here only to share some experiences. Actually, I took the opportunity to be present here to meet the other authors of the hills. The opportunity of meeting them, I didn't want to bypass, probably for my own, selfish marketing and publishing further hopes. But there was no ambition as such. And then finally, after whatever my studies and all were over, one journalist friend, he just came up to me and said, like, you're not doing anything, you should be doing something. And then over the years also, I just couldn't put my mind to what exactly I was to do. But I did write a little bit of poetry on the side, and I wrote some stories as well that I gave around to some magazines. And I was really not ambitious at all. Then finally in 2016, because there was too much pestering, from this friend, I finally started writing. And I didn't actually know, seriously, writing seriously. I sat down in front of the desktop and just started typing away. And that's how the book took shape. And then I started taking an interest. I thought that, yes, this is my history. I mustn't let it go. And for whatever it may be worth, I should be proud of it.
Right? Yes. So can we have Vikash Goyal on stage to share your experience, please?
It's called The Other Side of Smoke, and it's a psychological thriller. In my thoughts and my philosophy, I wanted people to actually feel the world the way I see it. So that's what made me write this book. And I've been writing since a very young age, and I've been blogging for, say, 5 years on WordPress. And through my articles on WordPress, I could actually form a book. So that is how my writing journey and this book came about. Thank you so much.
Eunice is from Darjeeling. She's done a lot of poetry, I think. She's written this book called Perfect. So please hear from the perfect lady who has written the book called Perfect.
A very good and very warm afternoon to everyone gathered here today. I published my first book called Perfect. It's my debut novel. My journey as a writer, to begin with, please don't be alarmed when I say to begin with, because I intend to keep this very short. But yes, my journey as a writer started with me being a reader first. Like I've said this once, I've said this twice, and I'll say it again and again. If you are a reader, you can stay content with being a reader. Like, you don't have to be a writer. No one's going to judge you for that. But if you are a writer, you have to be a reader first. Like, there's no other way around. And the price of this book is 399 rupees. That is, I believe, a little more than the price of chicken box meal at KFC. So I'm sure you can afford it. Because the only person who can make your dreams come true is you and you alone. So thank you for the opportunity, sir, and everyone out here. Thank you.
Let me actually dwell upon the subject of support that we writers, English writers actually in the hills of Darjeeling and Sikkim actually get. So this is the support. We have a core group of people who will come and support us wherever and whenever there are programs like this. But overall, the support that we get is not, what, say, maybe a local Nepali writer gets. I sometimes feel that maybe, there is a disconnect between writers like us and the general public. There is, I think, a fault from us because I think we tend to be very elitist. Am I wrong in saying that? Because what we write, generally does not connect to the masses here. So there is a dire need whereby a dialogue must be started, some amount of understanding must be had between, the local readers, the Nepali writers, as well as the masses, and us. So dialogue, this is one of the reasons actually we started this group. We thought that, we must connect more to the masses rather than just trying to cater to a very elite or niche, readership. I think the journey or the beginning has been made today. My wife is laughing at the back, So, ma'am, let me tell you that today is my moment to speak. You listen. I don't get this opportunity all the time. Anyway, so, yeah, we need to connect, more with the masses. And maybe also they could translate some of our work and we connect to the Nepali speaking or Nepali speaking, reading world. So with this, may I now call upon the next speaker. I'm calling them randomly, not as per that list. So may I call upon the next author, Kisan Dahal. So let me tell you a little bit about him. This is why I bought my computer, because he's got a long list of, achievements. He has contributed, with his writings to almost 30 national and international anthologies. Besides writing three books, he is an award-winning poet too. His works have been published by the Embassy of Netherlands at Cuba. Another of his work has been published and now finds a place in the National Library of Philippines. I present before you Kisan Dahal. Oh yes, by the way, he's also been felicitated by the Gujarat Sahitya Academy twice. And every year, on the occasion of Bhanubhakta Jayanti, he publishes an international anthology. So please welcome Kisan Dahal to the stage to hear his journey as a writer.
Respected sir, respected everyone, respected literature lovers. First of all, Sandeep sir, that introduction was a bit scary to me. Then again, yes, my name is Kisan Dahal, and I am from. I was born and brought up in Soring. It's a small town. Now it's a district of Sikkim. I was born and brought up. If I have to talk about my writing journey, you can see over there, Kisan Dahal, author. I'm scared with that word, author. Wow, he's an author. No, I don't want to call myself as an author. Maybe after I die, people might call me. But right now, yes, please call me a poet, because I love writing poems. I come from a family where writing is somewhat like a passion. My grandfather used to write. My great-grandfather used to write. My father writes. And yes, I tend to write. I'm learning to write. Scribbling there. This place look amazing. I thought Kalimpong might be a tea garden or something like that in my imagination, like Darjeeling. But it didn't turn out like this, like Darjeeling. Okay, I was coming up from that Chitre. Okay, the memory that recites me over here like this. When the rounds around you exits, okay, excites, not exits. Okay, I'll read from beginning. When the rounds around you excites, the journey begins to get excited. When you are visiting a new place, you tend to seek its history and its mess. It's a haiku. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So the next author I'm going to call is ASWINI. Tamang. He's from Mirik. He owns a school in Mirik. He's a very eloquent writer, and the name of his book is Shadows of the Occult Mountains. He's been a journalist, a blogger. He's actually written a lot for the Statesman, Asian Age, and other, I think, publications. So I invite him on stage to deliver his talk.
Good afternoon to all of you. Especially we are really grateful to all of you who spared this time in the afternoon. Long time, like one of my first columns was published in the Statesman in 1999. And after that I did some short stories for the Sunday Statesman and also for the Asian Years. And basically I was more interested in writing features. And for a brief period of time I was also attached to the Statesman in Siliguri. But then I didn't spend much time there because now we're talking about the creative writing journey that we all share. And basically we never know when our journey really started. In between I put in a lot of time and I sort of wasted myself because 3 years I just was drifting around the hills of Sikkim and all the corners trying to put a travel magazine together. And that's where I think my real journey started, because that's the time where a lot of things opened up, and a lot of it is in my book here, Shadows of the Occult Mountain. So I hope we as a team of authors and many more to come would be able to connect with all of you here or other readers as well as authors. Thank you very much.
So the last speaker today is Pankaj Giri, sorry. So Pankaj Giri, I have known Pankaj since a long time now, almost I think from 2017, is it right? So the first time I met him was in Manipal University in Singtam, where they decided to felicitate, I think, 3 or 4 English writers, basically from Sikkim. He's written this wonderful book called The Fragile Thread of Hope, right? And he was listed as one of the top 5 finalists in the Amazon pen contest. Why? To please take the lectern and share your experience with the audience.
Good afternoon, everyone, and all the respected people who have joined. And first of all, I'd like to thank Sandeep Jain sir for such a lovely introduction and for organizing this wonderful program. And I know how difficult it is to organize such a thing, but I think this is a historic moment where I'd like to introduce my book at first. This is my book, The Fragile Thread of Hope. Add the culture and traditions of Sikkim and the Nepalese culture and traditions. I feel that I could add them and make the book richer, so I did that. And the relationships, the complicated family relationships that are there, every one of us faces troubles and tragedies in life and the complicated relationships. So that I wanted to portray, and I think I did that. And then I looked for a publisher, but I didn't find any, because all of them either rejected or they don't respond, because it's very difficult to find a traditional publisher. And then thereafter I decided to self-publish my book, and the e-book version I self-published it on KDP. And then thereafter, by the grace of God and the support of the readers throughout, I was selected as the top 5 finalist. And thereafter I just thought, let me just give it one last shot and send my book to traditional publishers. And then somehow Fingerprint Publishing, which is a traditional publisher, so they kind of found some substance in my book, and they decided to publish it. And thereafter, it has found love from readers throughout, from a lot of readers throughout India, and especially locally also many people have liked it. So it has been a great journey. And as Sandeep sir said, so we tried to do authors meet and to take a stall and in Sikkim a few months back, but due to COVID it got postponed, and Sandeep sir has done this a great job of organizing this, and thank you so much, and thank you so much once again for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Pankaj. Well, you are a truly, you're a big inspiration for a whole new crop of new writers. I know for a fact there are people in Sikkim and in the Darjeeling region who actually follow you and treat you as an inspiration. So, I think all the writers are finished. Okay, there's this character called Sandeep Jain. So, he has to speak, but I don't think, I need to, share my life journey with you or my writing, because most of you actually already know me. So I won't talk about, my work or my life, but I can, tell you about how I got initiated into writing. Or rather, I can read you an article, I just found it here, about how, I got initiated into writing. This was an article which I've written in a very lighter sense, I think several years back. So if I'm allowed, may I read this article? It was more of a satire sort of thing. So the name of the article is In the Good Old Days of Love Letters. Many have asked me over the years as to how I got initiated into writing. Yes, I received education in one of the finest English medium schools in the region, St. Augustine Schools, which had some of the most, where did my page go? Which had some of the most wonderful teachers. The lessons in English that Mr. A.T. Das Gupta and Father Felix and others, of course, gave me a foundation, but I must acknowledge that I had two very unlikely gurus who made me fall in love head over heels with writing. My first guru, of course, was my classmate, dexmate, and khoini mate, the indomitable curly-haired Sanat Gupta. He looked like a miniature version of Gabbar Singh, complete with dark complexion, curly hair, and tobacco-filled lower lips. But then rather than being armed with a gun, he always carried something more powerful, books. It was he who initiated me into writing. By the time I finished class 10, I had completed reading the entire collection of books by writers like Sidney Sheldon, Jeffrey Archer, Jack Higgins, Ken Follett, Robert Ludlum, and of course, James Hadley Chase. I cannot forget to credit Commando Comics or Tintin or Archie's and Asterisk Comics for broadening my vocabulary. Of course, in later years, my reading appetite increased to such an extreme level that my wife often now refers to her as my second wife. She says that my first wives are my books. But then it is my second guru who actually is the subject of this article. The second guru is the one who actually got me hooked to writing, and she is named Love Letters. Yes, writing love letters in school initiated me into writing and made me realize the power of a well-constructed sentence. I realized it could make or break many dreams and lives. Several months of romance could be finished off in a flash with one poorly constructed love letter, or many days of cat and mouse game would end up in a romantic liaison with the help of a flowery love letter. I can see Sarila actually smiling. Writing love letters was an art form in those pre-Facebook and WhatsApp days. Those who excelled in the art in this art generally walked away with the trophy to the envy of the competitors. There are some acknowledged experts in every school who excelled in this art. This service was much in demand, and the better ones almost had celebrity status among the budding Romeos in school. I was one of them in St. Augustine School during my senior school days. Of course, I would have preferred to be the Romeo rather than being the letter writer of other Romeos. But then, with a face like mine and with the skeleton-like body frame that I possessed during those days, I absolutely had no hope of winning anyone of the female gender. I had some very wonderful nicknames during that time. Katkira, Sidra, Murkhuta, Lamkhate. Definitely not very heroic names, which would win over my, the any St. Joseph's convent girl, who wanted to be called, after all, Katkira ko girlfriend. Like I said, writing love letter was a fine art form thing. Many things that had to be considered. It had to be considered if the girl would hand over the letter to a school principal, or not. It had to be considered if she already had a boyfriend, whether she had a tough-looking brother who had to be found out, and it also had to be ascertained who were her friends. Finding out about her friends was most important, as it could be so as to be sure that the person sending the love letter hadn't previously sent her, friend a letter. Whether the girl had long hair, short hair, whether she was, talk, all had to be noted, and adequately words had to be put in to praise her attributes. So of course, this is a long article, I won't read all of them, but this is, how I actually got initiated into writing, and I'm sure every one of you actually had, such experiences. We are not trained writers, we actually self-taught, and, everyone has his own story. I can understand even Harkas are actually, probably, thinking of those days, when WhatsApp was not there, Facebook was not there, and how you actually, wrote those long letters to your girlfriends or your lovers to actually, and those actually helped. So you don't have to be a trained writer, I feel. I was trained in something else and became a writer later on. So for the next generation, I would just say follow your passion, because if you think you can do it, you don't need to be trained for that, you can train yourself. So I guess this is, it from the writers. We've actually stated to have a small panel discussion. Should we have it? Because I think we've already covered most of it. Yes? So can I please call upon, a very talented writer, someone I actually, respect a lot. She's written a lot of poetry, does poetry sessions. She writes for the Times of India, and she used to, I think, work for the Statesman earlier. May I please invite Nisha on stage to please say a few words. I know this is very extempore, but I know you can do a good job.
Hello everyone. This was very sudden. Had I known that I would have, prepared a lengthy speech or something like that. Thank you for this beautiful experience. To all of you, I would rather read a poem. I think it's okay for everyone. Okay. It was like a shift, perhaps like autumn. Everything around me fell. I was empty. Things got worse when December began. My heart was cold and harsh. Time too froze for months. I was detached in solitude. But somehow I knew the iciness would thaw and I would notice blossoms. Colors and fragrances of pansies and freesias, bougainvilleas and peaches, all would remind me of my patience. I know life is delicate. So is our mind, unstable, erratic. We see what we choose to see, and we become what our mind wants. I was cold, empty, and ruined of coldness, fear, and nothingness. My mind turned grimy, sad, tired, and depressed. But I didn't want to fall in the valley of depression. I wanted to grow above all. I breathe, and I know I am alive. Thank you. Thank you.
I think it's time to call upon Dr. Harkabahadur Chhetri to please deliver this, the keynote address today. We all know how wonderful he speaks as a political leader. We know how wonderful you write. But sir, I am a fan of yours when you speak on occasions like this. You are something we really aspire to, and aspire to become. I mean, your knowledge about things and how you recall things, which happened 40 years back, is just something out of our scheme of things. So may I now welcome Dr. Harkabahadur Chhetri to please deliver the keynote address for the day.
आज होइन हिजो दिउँसो सन्दीप भाइले फोन गर्दा म लेख्दै थिएँ। अब म लेख्दै थिएँ भनेको चाहिँ मैले बताउनु खोजेको तिमीहरू मात्रै होइन, म पनि लेखकै भयो भनेर। Keynote address, please Dazu, be there tomorrow. You have to address a keynote address. 7 of the English authors will be present there, and you have to give a keynote address. And my first reaction is, why don't you think that I would be a misfit? I would be a misfit because I Nepali ma lekchu, unaru Angrezi ma lekhchan, anta will I be able to do justice? भने तर भित्र मनमा लोभ चाहिँ लागिरहेको थियो, हैन गएर बोल्नु चाहिँ पर्छ भन्ने। र अब आयो मलाई जहिले पनि यो चीज लाग्थ्यो, मैले त्यो भाषा राम्रोसँग सिकिन, राम्रोसँग लेखिन भनेर एउटा चीजको भ्याक्युम छ। त्यो रेस्पोन्सिबिलिटी आई थिंक यो जेनेरेसनलाई पर्छ कि हामीले जति नै राम्रो हाम्रो भाषामा लेख्यो भने पनि हामीले जसलाई सुनाउनुको लागि कुरा गर्छौं त्यो सुनाउने ठाउँमा हाम्रो आवाज छैन। त्यसले गर्दा अब यो हिस्ट्री पनि रिराइट गर्नुपर्ने हाम्रै जिम्मेवारी हो। यहाँ यति ब्रिलियन्ट कथाहरू छ हाम्रो, तर त्यो मलाई त कोही बेला लाग्छ कथाले पो राइटरलाई खोजेर हिँडिरहेको छ, मेरो लेख्दैनस् भनेर नि। अनि लेख्नेहरूले चाहिँ लोकल हाम्रो नेपाली भाषामा लेख्नेहरूले, अंग्रेजीको त माने अलिक कम्ती छ हाम्रो प्रोडक्सन अहिले, तर नेपाली भाषामा लेख्नेहरूले अचम्म कस्तो अचम्म हुन्छ भने नि, कविताको किताबको शीर्षक नै के लेखेको हुन्छ भने कविता पर्खेर आधा रातसम्म भनेर लेखेको हुन्छ। माने त्यसको मतलब आउँदैन उलाई कविता, पर्खेर आधा रातसम्म बसिरहेछ। अरे एउटा मान्छे कवि हो भने त्यो सिचुएसनले त जहिले तहिले उसलाई खेदिरहेको हुन्छ र पो लेख्छ त, हो कि? त्यो पर्खेर आउने चीज होइन नि। अनि त्यसको लागि फर्स्ट चीज चाहिँ लेट अस बी अनेस्ट टु आवर एक्सपिरियन्स। हाम्रो त म ठाउँ ठाउँमा भन्छु, इभन पोलिटिकल इस्युजमा भन्थे म त पोलिटिसियन त होइन खासमा, जबरजस्ती सिचुएसनले तानेर भाषण दिनु पुगे, भाषण 2-4 जनाले मन पराएकोले गर्दा भोटमा पनि उठायो, जिते पनि, त्यसरी म डुबेको हो, त्यहाँ बिग्रेको हो खासमा। वास्तवमा चाहिँ मैले लेख्ने मान्छे हुँ, तर अब लेख्ने मान्छेको पनि हो त्यो हुँदो रहेछ, बेसी इमोसनल हुन्छ। अनि इमोसनल मान्छेले थाहा पाउँदैन कति बेला उसले आफैलाई एक्सप्लोइट गरिरहेको छ, आफैमाथि अत्याचार गरिरहेको छ। किनभने बोल्नु थालेपछि आफ्नो भन्दा राम्रो स्वर त कसैको लाग्दैन अन्त। मलाई मेरो जस्तो मिठो स्वर कसैको लाग्दैन थियो। अन्त त्यही स्वर सुन्नुको लागि त्यहाँ आफै गयो, बोल्यो, अन्त आफ्नो समय बर्बाद गर्यो। एउटा के अरे परिणाम ननिक्लिने, रिजल्ट ननिक्लिने चिजमा आफ्नो एफर्टलाई वेस्ट गर्यो। अब यति वर्षपछि चाल पाएर त के गर्नु? त्यही इलियटले भने जस्तो हुन्छ फेरि, आई हेभ नाइदर एज नर टाइम बट लाइट्स एन्ड आफ्टर डिनर स्लिप ड्रिमिङ अफ बोथ भने जस्तो यङहरूलाई हेऱ्यो। तर इन्सपायर गर्नुपर्छ। आगामी समारोहमा अझै थुप्रै अङ्ग्रेजी लेखकहरूको बिचमा म फेरि नेपालीमा बठै देखाउनु पाउँछु भन्ने आशा राख्दै मेरो कुरा यहाँ अन्त गर्छु।
Please do. Vinata ji is an English professor in Kalimpong College.
A very good afternoon to all my friends, my writers present here. My main purpose is not a question. It is just I want to share some one feeling, and I'm very saddened by this feeling that children who can read and write in English, they forget the mother tongue. They asked me, you are from an ICC background, ISC background also, will you be able to translate these novels, write the crux of the whole of the Nepali novels, untranslate ones into English? I said, yes. I will show it, I will do it, right? And finally, thankfully, my research is over, it's done. Then now I'm interested into translation. And even then, when they suggested that I should go for a comparative work with an English writer, I said no. Nepali is a regional language. Our work, it is our pride. It has a regional flavor and a sense of its own. Why do I need to compare it with an English writer? Why should an English writer be a measuring yardstick to bring out the beauty of my literature? Why should it be so? Let the Nepali books be there. I will translate into English. I have done my research taking 13 Nepali untranslated novels. Now, after meeting this oral provision writers, this ambience to the audience today, I'm, though of course not of a young age, I'm interested now in getting these novels translated one by one. And just pray, as one of our writers has said, unless your dreams are scary, it is not a big ambition. I go home with this message that it may be scary at this age, but still I will not give up. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Vinita ma'am. So I guess it's time to call it a day today. So before we end, let me thank a few people. The authors here who've come all the way from Gangtok and Mirik and Kaohsiung. All the audience who have been here. Harka sir, of course, for the wonderful talk. And yeah, I hope you take back something, and we definitely are taking back a lot of things from you. And we hope that in the coming times, we can do more such programs, not just here in Kalimpong, but in Darjeeling, Kaohsiung, Mirik, Gangtok, everywhere across the region. And then we have more authors sharing their experiences with the readers. And we sincerely hope that in the next program, we have some Nepali writers too, and we can have a dialogue with them, maybe on the stage itself, so that we can understand each other better and we can do justice. Thank you so much once again, and I hope you enjoyed this program, and if there have been any lapses, please do excuse. Thank you so much.